for the big blacks, we're typically fishing structure. So we're going fishing along the Great Barrier Reef itself is the edge of the continental shelf in Australia. So if you go half a mile offshore, it could be 1,500 foot deep. So we're typically fishing from 1,000 feet, and the trade wind is southeast, so it's pushing up against the reef, and the current runs to the south. So we'll typically fish into the sea and work our way offshore, and then turn around and run back inshore, fishing down sea, going over all our spots where we've caught fish before, over all those contours and bottom structure. So when we go out wide and we're chasing the big tuna schools, we're really just trying to, keep up with the tuna schools and, whatever pattern. If you find bait, then do some circles on baits. But typically we're working our bottom structure, waiting for a fish. In Australia, there's not really, you don't mark bait. You might see some jacks getting around on top, and smaller baits, rainbow runners getting around. But typically the fish are there to breed more than they're there to feed. So we want to find those fish. You'll mark the fish on the sounder, and those fish will typically stay in that place for 2 or 3 days while they're breeding. So it might be a tide change that triggers them to bite. It might be the sun getting down low in the sky, or they're just hungry. So it's more about staying around where there's fish more than wandering around trying to find. Obviously, if you're not marking anything, you need to keep traveling until you get a bite, and then stay there till you get another bite. But we tend not to, if we're going to move from one spot to another, we'll just straight line it till we see something we need to stop and fish, rather than just doing a set course or anything. It's you're looking for all those signs of life. We see a lot of fish tailing. That's why we fish out of the tuna tower. So while we're trucking around, we'll be looking around for fish tailing down sea, and then go and try and put a bait in front of those fish. And while you're doing that, you might drive over another fish that's sitting there waiting for, a female that's waiting for some males to swim in to breed, and it's like, oh, we got a bite. So, the more you fish, the more you realise that you think about this stuff too much, and just go back to the basics of finding the good water, finding the good structure, finding the bait, and they're really the main things. We just have all these tools that help us do it when we're fishing much larger expanses of water. Where I fish 150 miles of reef by 1 mile. So there's not really that many opportunities to go wrong. If the water's no good where you are, put the lures out and truck till you find better water. Where Brad's fishing, I don't know how he does it. They'll run 50, 60 miles in that direction, and then all of a sudden there's all these sailfish. So that's got to be a lot more frustrating and harder. But again, they've got a good network of boats where they are, and they look at the technology that's available and make the most of the opportunities.